Hi, it's Dr. Darren Schmidt at the Nutritional Healing Center in Ann Arbor, and this video is a second video to my first Alzheimer's video from, I don't know if it was like 18 months ago or 2 years ago. So I'm going to talk about Alzheimer's and other brain dysfunction cases today. And I do have a success story I want to share with you, and as I read through it, I'm going to interject my own thoughts and so you can get a better clinical picture as to what's going on and what's happening with this particular person. Then I have a couple more people after that to talk about. So the deal is that Alzheimer's is a tough case, and it's really hard on the family, and especially the caregiver, but there is a solution. And it comes down to not enough fat in the brain and toxicity. Those are the two things. So let me just start in on this letter right here. So this is written by the daughter, and the mom is in her 70s. It says, last fall during a family conversation, my mom suddenly became quite confused. She wasn't able to find the words to express her thoughts. Suspecting a stroke, I asked her who the president was, and she wasn't able to answer. I immediately drove her to St. Joe's in Brighton, which is a hospital here in Michigan, not too far from here. And during the ride, she became more and more confused, unable to remember even her children's names. After a brief hospital stay, the doctors decided that she probably did not have a stroke after all, but suffered from something called Wernicke's encephalopathy, which meant that she could no longer have any alcohol because it could cause continuing confusion and even possible permanent impairment. So the doctor had the incorrect diagnosis, and it wasn't Wernicke's encephalopathy. And what that is, it's a collection of symptoms described by a guy named Dr. Wernicke. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that diagnosis. Now, a correct diagnosis would say, you're eating too much sugar, or you have mold in your brain. It's the cause. The diagnosis has to be the cause in order for the diagnosis to be correct. Okay. One afternoon, a few weeks later, we were headed to meet a physical therapist, and my mom began to become confused and frightened again, just as she had the night I rushed her to the hospital. But she hadn't had anything to drink, meaning, in this case, it would have been red wine. She hadn't had any red wine. She had simply had the macaroni and cheese special. In the course of about 15 minutes, her mood changed completely. She became terrified to meet the physical therapist and refused to try any exercises once we arrived. By the morning, her symptoms had not improved, so fearing another stroke, I took her back to the hospital. I Googled, quote, carbohydrate confusion, unquote, just to see if somehow macaroni could have an effect on someone's thinking. The first result was The Grain Brain, a book by neurologist David Perlmutter. Sure enough, there is plenty of medical research to show the deleterious effects of carbohydrate, specifically grain, on our brain. The effects build up over the years, and Dr. Perlmutter is concerned that our society is facing devastating numbers of Alzheimer's patients in the decades to come, all because of our diets. This is a true statement. There's new research showing that even like every 25-year-old in this country has some sort of sign of brain dysfunction caused by carbohydrate intake. So really, ultimately, Alzheimer's is diabetes of the brain. Okay, the next morning in the hospital, I showed The Grain Brain to the attending neurologist, hoping he would be curious since Perlmutter is a fellow neurologist as well as a nutritionist. Unfortunately, he simply glanced at the book and tossed it on the table. And this is what he said. Books like this give people false hope. Your mother became frightened because she encountered a new situation and became stressed. Confusion resulted. The best you can do is to keep stress to a minimum, but her condition will worsen in time until eventually the losses are permanent. We have some drugs that have been shown to help with memory loss, but that's about it. So this neurologist is saying exactly what he learned in medical school and all the conferences he goes to that are sponsored by the drug companies. They all say the same thing, and every neurologist has to say that unless they're holistic. And how many holistic neurologists do I know of? I only know of one. And in the whole United States, maybe there's a few more. But all conventional neurologists would say the exact same thing. Okay, even though I would get no encouragement from the neurologist, I determined to read the book myself and find someone skilled in nutrition who could improve my mom's diet and see if it could improve her brain functioning. That's how I met Darren Schmidt, so she found me online. My mom saw him on December 3rd, which is 2016. Much to my relief, Dr. Schmidt explained that carbohydrate intake can absolutely affect someone's mood and brain. He was not surprised by what happened when she ate the macaroni, and he explained that a process called lactic acidosis underlies all chronic disease. His common sense explanations made sense to me. He recommended some vitamin and mineral supplements as well as dietary changes, eliminating all grains and sugars, and focusing on getting lots of good, high-quality fats, eggs from pastured hens, grass-fed beef, and organic butter. Because my mom was encouraged to eat foods she loved, like butter and avocados, giving up her daily toast and jam as well as her favorite little candy bars wasn't hard. This is also the type of diet Dr. Perlmutter recommends for healthy brains. By mid-February, my mom was better than ever. Her speech had returned. She was feisty once again. She had made it through the winter without any depression. She had lost 24 pounds, her cholesterol was down, her blood pressure was stable, her arthritis attacks had been reduced, and interestingly, she no longer needed any of her lung medication, not even her emergency inhaler. She hadn't used it even once since changing her diet. In the Grain Brain book, Dr. Perlmutter writes, "In your lungs, one particular saturated fat creates lung surfactant, reducing tension so that your alveoli in your lungs are able to expand, so the lung structures need to expand. Without surfactant, you would not be able to breathe because the wet surfaces of your lungs alveoli would stick together and prevent your lungs from expanding. Having healthy lung surfactant prevents asthma and other breathing disorders." So imagine 10-year-old kids with asthma, and they're eating junk food and they're eating too many carbohydrates and not enough saturated fat. So their diet absolutely causes asthma. Okay, I suspect the good fats my mom had been eating were also helping her lungs as well as her brain. She must have also been reducing the inflammation in her body. Yes, ketosis reduces inflammation. That's been proven in the research. My mom cannot remember most of what happened last fall during her health crisis, but I wanted all of you to hear it because I want people to understand that no matter how dire a situation may seem, good and proper nutrition can improve tough health problems relatively quickly. You should never give up hope. My mom got help for her brain issues and ended up receiving help for her lung issues as well. As long as a person is willing to make basic changes in what they eat and make healthy eating the focus of their lives, their health will improve. If we had merely followed the advice of the neurologist, my mom would still be on her expensive lung medication, and she might not be able to have a conversation with any of you. I can't begin to share my happiness that this was not our story after all, and it doesn't have to be yours either. So her mom got great benefit from just changing her diet, and a lot of symptoms went away, and a lot of diagnoses went away with the correct diet. So I want to share that I have other successes with Alzheimer's, and I'm telling you that eating fruit is not the solution. Now I know there's some kind of a psychic medical medium that he was popular maybe 3 months ago, and he says you got to eat blueberries and you got to eat raspberries and stuff like that. Okay, that's not going to fix Alzheimer's because you got to fill the brain with fat, and the brain is fat and water, and it's protein. So having said that, I want to share with you another Alzheimer's patient, and she's been with me maybe 3 months or 4 months, and the first 2 months, about 3.5 months, the first 2 months or so, 2.5 months, she had great improvement. It was actually astonishing. And I had her on some detox supplements, and she got into ketosis. And the last time I saw her and her husband's lost 42 pounds, by the way, too. But last time I saw them, the husband said, the results aren't there anymore. Like, the improvement was great, but now the improvement kind of plateaued. And the truth is, it came because she started doing the fasting mimicking diet with the avocados and the green drink, low calorie. Okay, they were doing it for like weeks on end, and it's actually designed to be a 5-day fasting mimicking diet, only 5 days, once a month or once a season. You could do it 5 days, twice a month, but really it's deficient in protein. So you still want to do that 2-to-1 ratio, maybe, even 4-to-1 ratio. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, keep watching my videos. But 2-to-1 ratio for her would be really good, with the appropriate grams of protein to feed your brain. Because all those nerve cells have a structure, and that structure is put together by protein. So that might be true for you if you've tried the fasting mimicking diet. Remember, it's only supposed to be 5 days. And if you do it once a month, great. Maybe twice a month at the most. It's not a lifestyle. Okay, it's just a temporary thing. And I also want to share with you another Alzheimer's patient. 1 year ago, he was at home thinking that people were outside and they're going to take him away. And he was fearful. That's dementia. And not to mention his memory loss too. So now it's been a year, and his wife takes care of him. They're both in their 80s, and she doesn't watch YouTube. She doesn't do anything online. She's never watched any of my videos. I've just educated her in visits. And so the last few times I've seen her, she's been very smiley and very happy with the results she's getting, because she stopped the toast for her husband with the jelly, and they're eating more fat. So that's what it takes. Lots of fat.